for Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Sir Rory now. On the outside. He's got
it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Sir Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby!
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that! He's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day. And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby.
Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome along to the latest episode of the TurfCast podcast. Full-time show, obviously the last one of the season, but don't worry, we will still be doing content during the off-summer. And the season ended the way the season has gone. Absolute shite. All the ball, no idea what to do with it. Lion's share of possession, even in the first half, and we were pretty bad. But same old. We couldn't do anything with it, could we? As you can see, I'm joined by Andrew, otherwise known as always Claret. How you doing, mate?
I've been better. Other than watching that today, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad it's over. I'm just glad that season is over. I've tried to put on a brave face throughout it all, and even at the start of the year when I knew we were pretty dreadful or we were playing pretty dreadful, I'd always hold on to well, you never know, we might end up getting better, and we're seeing signs, and the worst signs of play throughout the season, weren't they? Like even if it's just little pockets within a game, or we'd string a few results together, there'd always be signs that we could potentially kick on, but we just never did. And I think you were just saying off camera as well, weren't you, mate? I'm just glad that this season's finished now. I can have a few weeks off now, then get frustrated by England. But even then, I'm not as invested in England as I am Burnley. Don't get me wrong, I want England to do well. And I will be shouting at the TV this time in 3 weeks. But if England get beat, I'm just like, whatever. Whereas when Burnley get beat, it's like, and it proper hurts you. But yeah, it's just good that the season's over, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I've never got to the point where I don't want to go on the turf. Like even when we were getting battered by City and stuff, like I'd never got to that point. And I feel like I was starting to get to that point now. So I'm just glad it's done, because when we come back in August, I'll be deluded again. And, I'll be happy that we're back on turf, and I'll be deluded that we're going to smash the league and we're going to run away with it, go unbeaten. And, I'm just glad it's over and give me a chance to fall back in love with football again.
Well, if the rumours of the pre-season fixtures are true, which I believe they are, then we have some good fixtures to look forward to. So there is that. Keep your comments coming in. It's always good to see the usual names in and around the chat. We've got Liam Beach. He says, absolute car crash of a season from recruitment to Trafford in goal. Let's play we can replicate last season. I don't see that without a striker. Today proved we are missing Teller. Yeah, well, I think the whole season proved it, but I see your point, mate. David Logan says, let's hope next season is better than this. It's been a living nightmare this season. Thank God it's over. Simon Fisher says, thank God that it's finally over with a game that sums up the season as a whole. Yeah, that's exactly what I said, wasn't it? Alongside Longo, he says, the depressed mood is absolutely warranted, but I genuinely believe there will be lessons learned and success next season. I mean, but I'm sure we'll chat about that probably at some point tonight or in the summer alongside, but I tend to agree, mate. Like, I can't see how we don't do well next year. Chris says, up the Clarets we go again. Definitely, mate. Ryan Collins says, who do you reckon is being sold then, mate? Literally everyone. No, I'm joking. I have no idea, mate. Raj says, good evening, lads. Thank fuck that season is over. Yeah, completely agree. Liam Beach says, the last TurfCast of the season. Great work this year, lads. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Like I said, we will still be doing stuff during the summer. It obviously won't be pre-game shows and full-time shows. No VAR next season, says Raj. Yep, that's a positive. Simon Fisher says, the worry is teams will sit back like Forest did, and we looked totally out of ideas of how to break them down, and Forest are no great shits at the back. Yes, that is a worry. But Preston tried to do that last year at the Turf. Blackburn tried to do that last year at the Turf. They just got dismantled. And yes, some people might argue this team isn't as good as last season's team. I mean, it's not going to be the team that starts next season, so we'll see. But yeah, we'll chat about that at some point during the course of the show as well. Obviously, I'll get Andrew's thoughts and all your thoughts on the actual game in a second. But just before we do, excuse me, should never drink fizzy drink before I come on here. I just want to remind everybody that the TurfCast podcast full-time show is officially sponsored by Wave Car Finance. Wave Car Finance are a local car finance company who specialise in getting you your dream car through their fantastic one-to-one personalised service. Their finance-first approach ensures that you can secure the very best finance in a deal tailored to suit you, and they can even settle any existing finance agreement and swap your current car into a new one. And to celebrate this partnership between Wave Car Finance and TurfCast, if you mention TurfCast podcast to them, they will give you a voucher worth up to £200 to spend at the Burnley FC Club shop on completion of your finance sale. Obviously, you can't just walk in the shop and go, TurfCast, and they'll give you £200. That's not how it works. You have to be getting a car with them, say that you're there because of me, TurfCast, and they'll give you £200 to spend at the club shop. Might be worth waiting until the new shirt comes out before you do that, though, but you didn't hear that from me. So why not pop down to their stunning showroom in Whalley, or give them a call, or even just send them an email or message them on social media to start your new car adventure today. And like I said, don't forget to mention TurfCast to get £200 worth of Burnley FC merchandise practically for free. So, yeah. Andrew, thoughts on the actual game then, please, mate? Because, I'll give my thoughts in a minute, but that first half weren't very good, was it? And the second half was a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that sort of sums it up. Like, I know it sounds daft because obviously they scored in like the first minute or something, but we actually looked positive for the first 30 seconds or whatever, like we got the ball up and I thought, flipping out, this is going to be like the Sheffield United game, we nick a goal in first minute, and then obviously they've gone straight down the other end and scored. And the first half were a bit poor. Obviously, 2 goals and both from Chris Wood, because it was nailed on that you were going to get them both.
Absolutely typical, weren't it? Should have had a hat-trick, to be fair.
But like even the fact, like, I don't know if you've seen it back, but his goal, like, he got so lucky with it, but he was onside, like, every single time. Not every time for us, but he was always offside for us. And then it just happened, by some miracle he's onside. And it just didn't seem to be today. And like you said before, we had all the possession, all the possession in the world. We just couldn't break them down. And we just don't shoot. Like we've said this all season, we just don't shoot outside. We get it outside the box and we just pass it round and just don't shoot. And then when we finally did, all right, it takes a deflection, but we get a goal back. So it was pretty poor. Overall, I think second half were a bit of a better performance, but the damage were done by then. And
Flyover Fred says Chris Wood was never actually offside for us. We just didn't have VAR back then, so we didn't prove it. Yeah, it's just, honestly, if you could package up 5 minutes of the season and say that sums everything up, it would be that 5 minutes, because Chris Wood, a former Burnley player, scores against us, and then it's flagged offside. So we have the miserable, being miserable. What's the word? Not joy, the opposite. I don't know. We're obviously annoyed. We've got the anger of them scoring, right? Then we have the joy of the flag going up. We're like, "Hooray!" And then we all start chanting, "Chris Wood, he's always offside." And then it goes to VAR, and shock horror, he's onside after we've just been singing that. And the guy next to me, when we were chanting that, he went, "We never learn, do we? We never learn, do we?" It's like, "Oh, tell me about it, mate." It's like when, even back in the day when Kurt Nogan were playing against us, we were singing songs about him. We just never learn. And then literally 2 minutes later, it was a goal, and I just couldn't believe it. But it just sums up our season, I think, for me. For me, that game, I just felt that first half was the perfect summary of the season. Again, like, we were dreadful in that first half. We had all the possession, all the ball, just didn't have a clue what to do with it. We were so bad with the ball again in that first half. You could argue second half we were better, and I agree with that, we were better, but there's no like properly clear-cut chances when it's 2-1 to Forest where you look at that and think, yeah, we should have scored that. We should have scored that. We should have got back into it. So even though we probably were the better side in the second half, not by as much of a margin by they were in the first half, there's still no clear-cut chance where you look at that and think, yeah, we should have got back into it. So I don't have any issues with the result. I do think we deserve to lose despite being better in the second half. But the damage was done, like you said, in that first half, weren't it?
Yeah, like I say, we got better. We played better in the second half than we did the first half. But like, you had the Amdouni chance in the first half where he skies it over the bar when it looks easier to put it in the back of the net. He had another chance where he drags it wide of the post. You've got the Goodmunson one, which really didn't look. It looks like a good chance, but the keeper were always going to save it. And apart from that, I can't think of any other chances.
We did have. I think you just mentioned it then, the Amdouni chance, and obviously the comment on screen then from Fred. There was that chance. That was in the first half, and I did call it a sitter on Twitter. I did call it a sitter on Twitter, but even then, it's not a clear cut. I would just hyperbolizing, to be fair, but it's not a clear cut chance where you think should have scored. He should have done better with it. 100%, he should have done better with it. That again just sums up the season, doesn't it? A decent bit of play, nice little cutback. I can't remember who it was from. Might have been Foster. I can't remember. Could have been Alderbear. A decent bit of play, and then just fluffed it. And it's just the perfect scenario of the season. Isn't it? Just ultimately not good enough. And as Fred says there, at Premier League level, he has to target, and I agree. It just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, if that's for Forest today, and that's Chris Wood in that position, he puts it in the back of the net. Like,
at the very minimum, he puts it on target, gets it on target. At the very minimum, he got a lot of stick when he was at Burnley, but
I like Amdouni, and I think there is a good player in there. And obviously, he's over the season. We've said he's a passenger. He can be a bit lazy, and I thought his performances recently warranted him to be starting. But today, just sort of did the same thing where he wasn't really. All right, he ran a little bit and he looked like he put a bit more effort in, but he should have been putting that on target.
Yeah, I agree. Chris Wilson's in the chat. Good to see you, Chris. I would have got you on, Chris, but I did have a full house until, to be fair, Sam dropped out at about 7 o'clock and then Neil dropped out at 8:30. So I'm like, Chris won't be back in time. But I will get you on the show soon enough, mate, and thank you for the fan reaction. But he says, Forest keeper didn't make a save all afternoon, created absolutely naff all against a side who were meant to be one of the closest side for us to catch. That's how far off we are. Summed it up perfectly. I mean, when you look at the game today, did not mean to put that comment on screen. When you look at the game today, it does sum up just how far away we are or were over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Forest were meant to be the team that we'd catch. We were nowhere near them. We didn't lay a glove on them today, really. All right, I know we scored the goal in the second half, but other than that, we just weren't good enough, were we? It just shows how far away we actually are from these teams that we're supposed to be competing with.
Yeah, I was coming off today saying I'm really glad that it wasn't the game. I'm glad that last week it was done and we got relegated. And that we just go on today. It were just as it were, because I think if we'd have come off that game today and that had been the one that relegated us, like the way they played, the way that both teams played, like Forest weren't amazing. Like they sat back and defended against us for the most of the game. Like they weren't anything special, and we just couldn't break them down. And like you said, but this is a team that they've had point deductions. This is the team that we could have been caught, catching, and yet we still couldn't do it. It was just, it just sums up the season for me, really.
Yeah, can't disagree with that, really. Can't disagree with that. It was a little bit weird at the end, weren't it, when they got the huddle? They got in their huddle at the end. Company, I think I put a tweet out. I'll just quickly find the tweet and try and bring it on screen for you all, because Company has kind of said what he did say in the huddle, obviously without actually saying what was said in the huddle, if that makes any sense to you all. Yeah, he did speak to the Burnley Express and did tell them, well, I say spoke to the Burnley Express, he mentioned it in the press conference, that what he said, it's on your screen now. Can you yeah, there it is, right?
Yeah.
So right, I'll just make it a little bit bigger for you all, but yeah, I did find the huddle a little bit interesting, because some people were criticizing it on Twitter, saying it was like a just sort of like he's doing it for show sort of thing. But this was his message of partly what the message in the huddle was. He says, you have a team that has every right to celebrate on the pitch, but they're celebrating with their fans on your pitch. Next year, we know the feeling of celebrating at Turf Moor. This is something for us next season, and that was the main message. So basically, to me, it sounds like he's got them in the huddle and said, look at them. Because I'll be honest with you, I was watching the Forest fans and not getting annoyed with them. I remember thinking, like, these are celebrating on our patch here. Like, this should be the other way around. This should be us. And I was getting a little bit... I thought their fans were class, by the way. But obviously, it's party atmosphere, isn't it? They're going to be. So I reckon he's just looking at that and going, look at that, take that in. That should hurt. And then you've got to use that as fuel next season. Essentially, I reckon that's what the message is.
Yeah, I feel weird with it, to be honest, because half of me feels like it was like you said, you know, this is what we should be doing. These are fans on your patch celebrating. When 12 months ago, you know, we were celebrating winning the league. This is what we should be doing next season. You know, this should use this going forward. The other half of me thinks, is it just for a promo shot for Mission to Burnley too? You know, is it just for the trailer for that? And, you know, because I don't know. I feel like we've sort of become a bit more corporate this season, and a lot of things are sort of like a little bit in doubt. Obviously, I'm not saying, you know, exactly that's what it is. But I do agree with Dale there. Like, we played earlier this season, and Foster got them all in a huddle, didn't he? And like after half time, and sort of bollocked them. And I remember when we used to do that before the start of a match, and it's always something that I've always liked. You know, the team getting the huddle, but it just seems like it were something that probably needed to be done.
Yeah,
but I think the fact that the lap of appreciation afterwards was a half-assed sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk about that, to be fair. I do want to talk about that, to be fair. I'll ask you about that in a second and get everyone's thoughts on it. But just that's why I love doing these live shows, because we have the completely different comments there. The one from Dale, which is on screen, which I'll read out in a second for those listening on the podcast, and the one directly underneath it from Duncan. Dale says, I think sometimes fans are just looking for anything to complain about. VK can't do wrong for right. Nothing wrong with doing it an end-of-season huddle on the pitch. I'm on Team Dale with this one, but Duncan does say, could it not have been done in the changing rooms behind closed doors? I see the point, though, from Duncan. It seemed all a bit theatrical to me. I think at that moment, because they were celebrating the way they were celebrating, I think that was the whole point of, like, take that in now, listen to that. I don't know, obviously I wasn't in the huddle, but I guess I would just presume that was it.
That's why I'm like 50-50 with it, because I can see, you know, you do it in the dressing room, you do it privately, you bollock them in there, and that's that. But at the same time, you want to show, like, we don't see what happens in the dressing room. You want the fans to see that, they do actually give a shit and it matters. But as well, like, you can go in the dressing room and go, those players out there, they're celebrating with their fans. You know, you can hear their fans. The fact that you could see their fans doing it, like I were with you, I were getting pissed off at their fans, not because they were celebrating, because rightly so, but we've had such a shit season, and it's just been so depressing from start to finish, and they're all there with the blow-up Lilos and the, you know, bloody...
But this is what we were doing to teams last season, weren't we? We were going to teams, turning them over, being loud, being proud. You can't... I won't criticise the Forest fans for doing what they're doing, because we'd be doing the exact same thing.
I thought they were brilliant.
But I will say it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch them do that. And I remember
and
thinking at one point,
last season
take it in.
last season we were doing it and we were enjoying it and taking the piss out of other fans. So, I can't blame the Forest fans. Fair play to them for enjoying it, but yeah, it just I hope it hurt, and I hope they use it for next season.
Yeah, True Red says, personally, I think it's a bit strange doing a huddle in the middle of the pitch straight after a game. I think it should be done privately and in the dressing room. Dale says, does it really matter? They do it all season in the dressing room. Sometimes doing it on the field gives a closed season feel about it and maybe allow fans to view the togetherness maybe. Yeah, I do think that was partly of it as well. Like, look at us, we're together. This is your team. Whether it will be the team next season, again, is a different debate. We'll see. I'm sure we'll all be doing loads of stuff during the summer as well, chatting about who's potentially coming in, who's potentially not. Ginger Alley, everyone's favourite commenter on TurfCast, he says, with respect, we didn't get relegated because we lost today. VK has had a full season with us to get us out of his mess, and he could only muster 5 wins all season. Yeah, it's not been a great season, to be fair, has it? Yeah. Excuse me. And Dale Husband says, yeah, I think Forest were living up because maybe we all thought we could catch them. Yeah, there's that. It's. I remember I was chilling at Parkview pub beforehand, having a couple of beers with me, and there were a few Forest fans milling around. It was a good atmosphere between the Burnley and Forest fans. No like animosity or anything. They were all mixing together. And my mate said to me, turned around and went, good away day. Good away day for these, isn't it? Like in the sun, on the beers, you're safe, no jeopardy. Everyone's having a laugh. Everyone's got all these blow-up dolls. Obviously, they're taking over the cricket field like that away teams always do. So they've had all that to themselves. That would have been a brilliant away day. So I don't have any issues, with Forest. They'd have just been enjoying themselves, and fair enough. We might be having someone coming on in just a few minutes. I'll let you know when that happens, and I will bring them in when they do. But Andrew, you mentioned there the lap of honour. What was everyone's thoughts on the lap of honour? Because I thought it was just, again, to sum up the season, just a little bit wanky, if I'm honest. Like, they just looked like they nearly walked off. It looked to me like not that they forgot, just someone has pointed out on Twitter they're probably just going to get the family, like the wives and kids. It probably is that. But it was just all a bit weird how they were all together in that huddle and they all just walked off. And then the announcer said, right, bye to the team, sort of thing. Like, normally he says, like, please wait, the lads are going to show their appreciation. And then they stood there for a bit and then they came out with the friends and family. So like I said, he probably has just gone to get them. But then they come back and he went, right, yeah, the players are here to do it. I just thought it were all a little bit half-arsed from the players and half-arsed from the fans as well, to be fair. Like, I don't think the fans showed much appreciation to it as well. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, like, obviously the season's been crap on it, so like I get the fans aren't really, there weren't many to stay. And to be fair, it's not been great. But yeah, I think Aaron Wright's just put in the chat there, this is what I thought they were gonna do. From me being a kid to up to now, they used to go in the dressing room or they used to go in the tunnel.
Yeah, they go in for a bit, didn't they? Whereas this time they just kind of went to the tunnel and came back out, didn't they?
Yeah, so I thought that's what they were doing. But then obviously, like you say, they just went over there and for a few minutes I thought they were just gonna applaud at the cricket field end and then go in.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, come on, it's been such a shit season.
Yeah, you can't leave us.
To be fair, yeah, they did come, like most of them did come out. Like, I remember a few years ago after the Newcastle game, no one came out after that. There wasn't a lap of appreciation or anything. And obviously, I know we'd just been relegated that game, but yeah, it were. They need to understand that you don't get to where you are without the fans. And if there were 1,000 fans still there or 20,000 fans still there, you still come and appreciate them.
Yeah,
and I feel like for Goodmanson, Cork, J-Rod, maybe Taylor, they were coming round for the appreciation.
Is that an exclusive from you about J-Rod then, is it? Because we don't know about J-Rod just yet, do we?
Well, I still don't know, but I'm assuming he's gone. Like, looking at him after match there and like watching it on screen with him and Johan and stuff. Like I think he's gone, but I was nearly crying when he came on pitch today. So, but no,
Yeah.
like them four, like yeah, it seemed like there were a bit of, you know, almost motivation to give them the proper send off. Whereas like Trafford didn't see Mars, Muric didn't see Mars. You
Yeah.
know, Payer's there in his trackies
I
and his
mean,
hoodie, and where were
I,
Benson? You know,
I,
like
I just want to say I owe Muric an apology because I was looking for Muric and I could not find him. So then I tweeted, as Dale Husband says here, I wasn't there. Which players didn't come out? Heard some didn't. Well, Benson weren't there, but he wasn't even on the bench, was he? So he might not have even been there. It was good to see Ramsey, the one Bayer. Them two obviously were injured and managed to get out. So I do apologise. Ari Muric was apparently there, but I genuinely didn't see him. I genuinely didn't see him.
Benson was there though, because lads sat behind us saw him turn up in car. So Benson was there, but he weren't on the lap of honour. But I was saying, like, do you think players who've been out on loan, like, you know, would Zarelri be there, or you know, like obviously Roberts has been out on loan, but he played just a few games for us. But no, like we didn't
Apparently
even
Benson
know
was there, but obviously we didn't see him on the pitch.
were he there.
Someone says, Benson was about. I mean, I didn't see him on the pitch, but yeah,
No.
is what it is. I think, I do feel like the lap of honour was a little bit crap, but it summarises the season. The season was a little bit crap.
Yeah.
Good to see some comments coming in. John Lamus, apologies if I pronounced that wrong, mate. Definitely have. He says, bloody hell, what a poor season. Cheers to it being through, mates. I've heard Sheffield Wednesday rumours for Jay. Don't know how true, though, says Duncan Fisher. But then Simon Fisher, I don't know if that's his son, and they're arguing in the chat. J-Ro going Stoke, I think. I've no idea, mate. Let's be fair. I've heard MLS.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times, but I hope not.
It's not inside info. Anyway, as promised, we do have someone coming in, and he's got his rant ready. It's Sam, everybody. I did not mean to remove Andrew. How have I done that? just relegated you. Sorry, mate. I didn't mean to do that. It's because I was on that one. But Sam, thank you for coming on, mate. I didn't think you were going to make it, but it's always good to see you. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right, considering we've just lost on final game of the season after a pretty torrid year. Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Marcia does say Benson was on the lap of honour in a suit, so that might be why we didn't recognise him, because he's in a suit, to be fair. Burnley season, says Sam Rant. I mean, I'm not sure how Sam feels. He's not been putting stuff in the WhatsApp group today, so he's probably just feeling indifferent about the game because there's nothing really riding on it. But Sam, your thoughts on that match, please?
Just another typical Burnley performance, isn't it, really? Like, you know, two different teams, two different halves, not enough quality. Get a goal down after 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Story of the season, really, isn't it? Like, we're just not cut out for this division. We don't have the players for it. Tactically naive. And I just think it is what it is. Like, you know, my head's in Championship now anyway. Like, I'm not really that bothered. Like, I think, you know, fair enough, you don't want to lose a game of football, but we knew it was fate before this game anyway. This game's just, you know, that game was just let's just get it over and done with so that we don't, you know, because it's almost like one of them situations, and it's like, if you win the league, like 4 games, like when we could have had Blackburn relegated and Leicester just let that last game go, like you don't, once you've done what you need to do and what you've set out to do, you're not bothered, are you? So we've been relegated. What are we playing for? Like,
yeah, I don't know if you feel the same about me, but going into the game, I wasn't arsed. I remember seeing Josh, who sometimes sends fan reactions in the Park View, and I said to him, and what I believe was his dad, apologies if it's just like a mate. Sort of like, I remember saying sort of like, I'm not arsed if we get beat, couldn't care less. But then the manner of that defeat, that first half especially, I remember thinking, come on, lads, you're always more than this. After this shit season, I genuinely, and people don't really like it when somebody says this, but in that first half, I was looking at a team of players that I feel didn't care. I think they showed in the second half, they probably do a little bit. But in that first half, they were just so bad, weren't they? So for me, not arsed that we lost, but I am arsed about the manner of the defeat, especially that first half, because we were just shambolic.
I think that's been the telling part of the season, though, isn't it? Like, I don't mind losing a game, but lose a game and be in it. Like, don't lose a game and make me sit and watch 90 minutes of absolutely nothing to come to the end of the game and say, well, we did have 2 shots on target this game. We only had 1 this game before. Like, that to me is not positive progress. Like, that's just nitpicking to try and find a positive. Like, We haven't been good enough this season. We've been through the mill. It is fair to say we've not seen a great side this season. We've not really put a staple on what we were meant to be. I think we've very much underperformed not only our own expectations, but other people's expectations of where we are. I think that comes down to poor recruitment. I think it comes down to, buying too many players to fit a system that apparently needs, between 50 and 150 training sessions to get used to. Too many players to get used to that system. And I just think, we go again next season. We still back the manager 100%, still back the board. This owner, this manager's brought us some fantastic times. We've just got it wrong this year. I think, we can rant away about, all the individual situations this season that we've had. We've had VAR decisions go against us. We've had awful performances against teams in and around us, Bournemouth away, Everton at home, Everton away, all these games that, you're thinking it's teams around us, we should have done better. It fundamentally just comes down to we're not cut out for this division. We don't have players for this division. We do have some, you are right, we have got some players that don't care. We do. Some of them are our own fault. Benson, if I were Benson, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a care in the world now. You got told you could have gone to AC Milan and played at the San Siro for £30 million, and then you're not even getting a game for Burnley in the Premier League. Like, what's that about? So I think we just go again, trim the squad down, recruit a left back, please.
We've scouted 200 left backs and we still don't have
mate. Honestly, it's just mad. And to be fair, I think the only overriding thing from this game is saying goodbye to the old guard. Johan, unbelievable servant. Jack Cork, fantastic. J-Rod, he's a Burnley legend. He's a Burnley fan. All they're the sad situations, but it's just unfortunate that it comes at the end of it sounds really bad though, doesn't it? But we support Burnley, and at the end of the day, we're saying bye to him, but you're saying bye to him in the most awful way because you got relegated and didn't play very well at all. So, but we go again next season. There's a lot to work on, but we'll get there.
Yeah, there is a lot to work on. We'll get into that in a second. I just want to pick something up on what Sam said there and come to you with it, Andrew, because I don't know if I've actually asked your opinion on it. Company, obviously Sam said 100% back the manager. Where are you on Company? Because I still get a bit of grief. People sometimes do comment on some of the TurfCast stuff saying, can't believe you're still backing him, can't believe this. So what did somebody call me over there saying, I say there's no better manager out there. I've literally never said that once. Somebody's like, oh, you always say there's no better manager out there. I've never said that. But I just don't see the point in getting rid of him now. But where are you on it, Andrew, with the Company in or out debate?
It's potentially my dad who's saying that. So if it is, I'm sorry. But I'm still Company in, but he has to prove himself next year. Towards the first half of the season. Obviously, like Sam said, he's given us some great times last year. We know he's decent in the Championship. We didn't sack Deitch after his first season in the Premier League. We gave him another chance, and look how that turned out.
Yeah,
he's 38, for God's sake. We're his first English Premier League. His first English team he's managed. It's his first season in the Premier League. Yeah, he got it wrong, but he'll learn from it, and he's got to learn. But if he shows next season that he hasn't learned from it, then maybe questions start to be asked. But no, I think he does learn from it, and I'm happy to keep him. Because in 12 months' time, if we win the league, everyone will be in love with him again. So it's one of them. I get why people want him out. My dad has wanted him out since Christmas, and I don't think he'll ever change his mind on that. So we have this
Neil's obviously a similar
week,
sort of.
So I get it, and if anyone wants him to go, I can't argue against it.
You know what? As controversial and as weird of a decision this may sound, if we'd have just stayed up, I'd probably be more inclined to get rid of him. But because we've gone that, which would be stupid, because obviously we'd have achieved our goal. But I'd probably want him out more in that scenario, because we'd still be in the tougher league where he's not proven himself yet. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like going down into the Championship, he's already done it once in that league, and he came in when we just lost Tarky, we just lost Ben Mee, we'd lost Nick Pope, we'd lost Dwight McNeil, obviously Weghorst had gone as well. No big loss really, but then like all these other players had left, and we had to start from scratch. And it's a completely different thing this season, isn't it? Like Sam, I'll come to you on this one because you were saying earlier like we do need to trim the squad down. It's one of the. Actually, I'll tell you what. Before I do that, I'll just read out some of the comments. Burnley till I die says, "I'm with you, Joe. He's got credit, but give it 10, 15 games next season. See where we are." Yeah, I say that all the time. Don't agree with that one. Fly over Fred says VK 100%, but he needs to feel the pressure from those above now. Yeah, Kenny Bridges says Moyes is available. Anonymous, I've seen this comment quite a few times. I'll give you your dues, mate. I'll read it out. And he says, if we had Weghorst, we would have won the league. Right. Can you stop spamming the chat with that now, please, mate? Because obviously you're talking absolute bollocks. John Lamas says, yes, he's a rookie in the Prem. He'll learn. True Red says a dozen games next season, judging from there. Yep. The AOI Dragon says the same fans who want VK sacked are the ones who want him to go to Brighton. Yeah. Tricky Disco says, what did Company get right? We know what he got wrong. To be fair, not much this season, but quite a lot last season in the league that we're going into. Claret and Blue 1882 says, if we win the league, then our next pop at the PL, VK needs to show he's learned something from this season. I agree. For me, like I said, VK in for now. He has to be given the first 10, 15 games the next season and see where we are. But he had like not a free hit last year, but when we got off to that slow start, I think a lot of the fans were one of them where we're like, yeah, we've just drawn at home to Luton, we've lost against Forest, we've drawn at home to Stoke or whatever it were, but we're going to give him time. I think next year the problem is if we have this slow start again, there's going to be a lot of noise from the fans and there's going to be a lot of people wanting him out and it won't have that patience. And then the same again, even if he does well next year, when we go up again, he's just had a free hit this year because we've just been saying, oh, this season's written off. So it won't have that in the season after as well when we go up. Just want to read this comment out before I continue. World of Mitch says, yo, I'm a new soccer fan from the United States. I'm a Burnley fan because of Dude Perfect. Go Clarets. Great choice of club, mate. Hopefully you stick by us when we're not in the Premier League next year. I don't know if you understand how relegation and that works, but welcome, mate. Welcome to the Clarets and please subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of stuff always on the channel and we will do throughout the summer as well. But right, Sam, I've mentioned already, last time we got relegated and we brought Company in, we lost all of them players and we had to come in and he had to build the squad from scratch, right? Mm-hmm. This season, it's a completely different scenario, isn't it? We've got like 45 players on the books, give or take. I don't know what it is exactly. And a lot, well, it'll probably be a little bit less now, obviously, with Johan and Jack confirming leaving. And then it's Graham Verso. Mate, you always wind me up, you. Did I just hear you say Dwight was no big loss? No, mate, I said Weghorst. I know you're a big Dwight fanboy. I didn't say Dwight. I said Weghorst, mate. Always ready to criticise you, Graham. Always ready to criticise. My dad says hello, though. Anyway, it's a completely different scenario, isn't it? We've got 45 players on the books, so we need to do it a lot differently. We need to get people off the books and bring new players in. Oh, do you think this current board and manager's capable of doing it, Sam?
They've already done it. Like,
yeah, but it's a different scenario, isn't it? I get you. It is. They have done it at that level, but it was building a squad from scratch rather than having to get all these players as well.
But I suppose if you can keep the main core like Cullen and you can keep Berge somehow and you keep Assignon and you have a core of players stay, that's less players to train. All you need to do is fill the gaps. And if you can somehow manage to turn Benson and Zareri on side, you know, and you've still got two wingers there, if not them and they go, you've got Odebear and Koleosha who were not in a position like we were before to sell. I don't think because they're young players, they'll come in with, you know, I mean, in the nice possible way, both of them came in with absolutely zero credibility other than the fact that they were 18, 19 years of age playing in Liga and Koleosha played 5 games for Espanyol. They were in no position to have a relegation, release clause. So I don't reckon they'll have put one in. We're not in a position where, unless they literally say we are not playing in this division, we're in no position to sell them. So that's 2 fantastic wingers already. If Lyle can, hit the heights and really kick on next season, we've got a brilliant striker. Of course, we've got Obafemi coming back. He'll probably leave, I think. You've got a spot for, bringing in a second striker. Do you play them together? Does one outshine the other? Like, all these scenarios can fall into place. Again, I'll reiterate, please buy a left back. But But then the other thing is, and like I say, the only difference in, like you say, in the season is that this team isn't completely obliterated, and we do have players. The only consistency that I have with that team is Vincent Kompany managed that team, and Vincent Kompany managed to win the league with 101 points. Yeah. He is officially the best candidate in that division to keep his job, to be a manager in that division, because he's the only one with the championship title around his belt. Probably there might be one or two more, but you know what I mean. Like he's the one who's done it most recently. With honestly, mate, I really think that the people that are calling for him rightfully so, off the basis of a very poor season. But if you're calling for him now, like as the season's finished today, I stress it every time we talk about it. Tell me who you're going to go get. I know you do, and people always come back to you with the, it's not my decision. You're a football fan. You should know somebody who's going to go in instead of your other manager. Not silly shouts like David Moyes, who's won a European trophy and managed in the Premier League. He's not going to drop down into the Championship, is it? Tell me a credible manager who's going to come in and take over Kompany with a similar style of play and can inherit those players and play the same way. Because we've had shouts before about so many managers from the Championship. They don't play his style of play. They don't play a progressive style of play with inverted fullbacks and inverted wingers, and the striker not necessarily being the main goal threat. Those managers don't play like that. So the team that they inherit, they don't know how to play that squad. What are you going to do? Tell Koleosho and Zaroury that they've got to be playing right back and left back together, and they've got to help the defender? Absolutely not. So he is
on that as well.
What's that, mate?
With that as well, like if you go back to when we've signed some of these players, well, most of these players, if you look at their interview, the majority of them have said they have signed to play for Vincent Kompany, and they have signed to play under Vincent Kompany. We're talking about players and the togetherness and how they want to play for us and stuff. We sack Kompany. How much will that rock the boat? How much does that turn things? Is Koleosho going to want to play under Mark Robbins or Sam Allardyce? Like, I know you said like Moyes, it is a ridiculous thing, but are they going to want to play under him, or are they going to want to play under this up and coming manager?
I mean, the only credible shout that I have seen is Mark Robbins, and the only reason you can say it's credible is because look at the job that he has done with Coventry. That's the only one where I'd say that from a Coventry point of view, without ruffling any feathers, because I really don't want to cause another argument.
I will clip this up and hashtag PUSB and stick it out there just so you're aware.
Yeah, just put it out there then, because you know what,
I'll send him your address as well.
I'll get pelters for it anyway. But literally, he's the only credible manager that you can actually say that people have come out and said he could be the replacement for Vincent Kompany, and he's the only one where I've gone, do you know what? I kind of get it. I kind of get it. But then again, that's only if after 10, 15 games, he's not top of the table. Or, I still think he's got credibility, even if we're third, and we're within touch.
I think if we're third, we'll be fine. Like, I don't think the pressure will be too much if we're third. It's like if we're 10th or something. Yeah,
exactly. And I completely agree. I just don't see the argument of like you say, if it was mid-season and we got trigger happy and got rid of him, you'd be upset because of last season, but you get it. The first 15 games were horrendous. We won one game, drew 2. We were really poor in that spell. So at that point, you kind of get it. It's similar. For me, it'd be similar to when we sat Dyche with 4 games left. It's like, okay, yeah, it ended up having a positive effect to a degree. We ended up nearly staying up, but at the same time, does it really do anything? Because that didn't prevent anything. That just prolonged the inevitable that season. We were relegated when Dyche was there. We got relegated anyway, so it didn't really matter. You might as well keep Kompany now, like I say, because he's the best candidate for it. We've easily got the best squad. Financially we'll be fine. We've got players that we can sell. Even if, let's say, we sold 5 players, that doesn't even rock the boat because the squad's so deep.
Yeah, it's so big.
Yeah, for me, it's just a no-brainer to keep Kompany. He's a fantastic manager in this division. He's got us there before. We've said it already. We did it with Dyche. We went up. It didn't work that time. He went back up again. We gave him another chance. He went back up at the first time of asking. We stayed in the division for 6 seasons. Yeah. He learned from his mistakes. Company will as well. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to give it time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Kenned's asked quite a few times in the chat, is Assignon staying? I doubt it, mate, but Company did lean towards the fact that the club will talk to them. But I doubt it. I think we'll do well to keep Assignon, to be honest. And for some reason, he got subbed off in the 46 minutes today, which I thought were a little bit strange. I didn't think he was having a horrendous game. But Ginger Valley says, Company's handing his notice in the morning. Just want to quash all rumours. Probably won't be. John Robertson says, regardless of the stick I'll get for this, if Cork had played in the first half of all our games this season, he'd be leaving Burnley with still a Premier League club. A sad day, criminally underrated. I do agree that he's criminally underrated, John, as I've said myself on Twitter many times, but I do think he's past it now. I think he should have played more, probably not last season. You know, the season we first went down under Daesh. I think if we'd have played more in that year, we probably would have stayed in the Premier League, but not so much this year. Carlos Corberan is a good shout for me if Company left for whatever reason, says Duncan. David Wagner, ? Says True Red, definitely not. But yeah, let's not have that debate because Company is staying. Andrew, just want to ask your thoughts on the job that Burnley have got this summer. Obviously, Sam just spoke about it at length there, but it's a different sort of job, isn't it, this summer? 45 players in. We need to get rid of a lot of players and bring in some new blood. We probably don't even need to bring in new blood, really. It depends how many we get rid of. Because I did see a comment earlier on, where's it gone now, from Graham, my favourite commenter. He said, I would say, apart from Sander, not many Prem clubs, excuse me, would be too interested in any of our current squad. That says all, really. Wilson Odebear, probably. And there's some chat about Trafford as well, but I think that's more for the potential rather than the player that he is now. I think a lot of the lads that will be sold and probably go to Europe, like your Amdounis and your Trezors. I don't think they're staying in the Prem, so it probably is a fair comment, but there's probably a couple in there as well, like your Odebears and and even your Corley Oshaw's. I know he's not played much this season, and probably your Esteves and maybe some of that. But it's one of them. But yeah, Andrew, your thoughts on the job that we've got in the summer?
Yeah, I think, like Sam said, we need to sign a few players. We need to sign a new left back. Like, I don't need to repeat what Sam said about that. But yeah, we need a new left back. We'll probably lose Sander, might lose Odebear, but we've got all these players coming back from loan, which we will probably sell. I can't imagine Zarawi staying. Benson potentially go. Can't imagine us keeping Twine, Obafemi. These are probably players that we're going to let go. But in terms of bringing players in, we don't really. We probably need a new striker. Either Trafford or Muric will go. I don't think we'll sell both.
Yeah, I don't think we keep both of them.
No, so we definitely let one of them go. And really, it's just the players going out that we really will need to replace. If we get rid of Sander, then we need, potentially need a centre mid, or is Masengo going to step up? And
you know what? I was gonna ask, and it brings me nicely onto this next bit of the debate of the show. Burnley Till I Die says, let's not sign another 27 wingers in the summer, please. That would be a start. I just want to read this one out as well from Johan the Great. He says, have you heard that, Joe, that we might be trying to say Latte Lath from Borough? I tell you what, if we sign him, then we are HMS Piss the League. He's a very, very good player. But I'll believe it when I see it from a credible source, mate. I'm not saying you're not credible, by the way, Johan. I haven't seen it myself, so it'd be interesting to see where that's come from. But if you can send it us, then yeah, feel free to do so. But the potential lineup of the squad next season is basically what I want to do next season. Next on the debate. Now we are going to do individual shows throughout the summer, whether it be me and the lads debating, or just me and a couple of others, or just me, sort of like saying keep or sell sort of vibe. I think we keep hold of one of the keepers. I don't think we sell them both. And I think we'll probably keep hold of Trafford, because I think Muric will probably want to leave based on the fact that he's not played so much this season. Ginger Valley's doing God's work in the chat, by the way. 118 people watching. Like and subscribe, guys. 131, mate, if you count the Facebook people as well. But yes, please like and subscribe, mate. Thank you for that, Ginger Valley. I'll make you a moderator one day. Yeah, looking at the keeper situation, individually, I think we keep Old Trafford. I genuinely think we'd rather keep Old Trafford because I think his ceiling is higher, and I think we've just spent all that money on him. I can't see us now thinking, right, yeah, let's get rid of him and keep Muric. I think genuinely think that's what we do. So I think Trafford will be here next year. I genuinely think this back line is a very, very good back line. Vitinho, Esteve, O'Shea / Bayer. Not sure what's happening with Bayer. And then probably Charlie Taylor. But no, it'll probably be, hopefully a new left back. But that back five, I think it's a good back five. What do you reckon, Sam, for the Championship, obviously?
Yeah, I think there's it's hard to judge really, innit? Because you don't know who's going to go, you don't know who's going to stay. I would ideally really just love to move Trafford on. Like, I know it sounds really bad. I know he's a young kid, but I just genuinely thought he was horrendous. Like, I really did. He couldn't command his box. He couldn't command his back four. He couldn't save shots from up close. He couldn't save shots from set pieces. He couldn't save anything from distance. There's just so many negatives to the way that he played. He couldn't distribute the ball. Muric, again, is another example of he's been there, done that. Yeah. Muric, like I said to you before, we were saying it last season. He was playing in the Dutch league, and when he was at Forest, he looked horrendous. Like, I remember watching him in some of those games. He looked awful when he was in the Championship the first time. This version of Muric that we have was unbelievable. When he came back into that team, that's when we, weirdly went through a decent spell because Muric was back in goal. Last season, did nothing to lose his starting spot anyway. So why on earth we spent £19 million on a keeper that had only played League One football is beyond me. Yeah. For me now, this is the chance to right that wrong and just say, do you know what? We're not in a position now to have England's number one goalkeeper for the future because we're in the Championship. We're not in a position to have that. He's not in a position to have that. How's he going to break his way into the England team playing in the Championship? If we don't go up, we're just going to lose money on him anyway. You're best off selling him now, keeping a credible goalkeeper and bringing in a decent backup for the fee that you can get for him and in comparison to the fee you can get for Muric. It's just, night and day. And and then again, like you say, with the back four, we still have players like Delcroix. We still have, Al-Dakil, Ekdal, Esteve.
That defence, in the defence, we're fine in the defence. Yeah. I think we're completely fine for next season in defence.
Dara as well, who's ended the season better than the start and the midpoint for me. You can hold my hands up and say that, which I'm pleased about. The fullbacks are obviously the issue. There's that lad from PSV who, again, I don't believe anything until it's happened. Who could come in. He's another young player. But the squad is going to look dramatically different. And I do think, it's the side of football that we're at. But people also forget as well, there's a lot of shouts for, credible league players that have played this league before, Championship experience, Premier League experience. Vincent Kompany likes to work with a young team. He likes having young players where he can demand respect, not ask for it. He demands respect from his young players. And that's what he's got from a lot of players. So when we have shouts from Masengo, yeah, brilliant. Like, Masengo's a young player who came to Burnley, tried on his social media to make out like he's absolutely in love with Burnley. And he'll probably get given the chance next season. Should we buy another centre mid? Absolutely. I wouldn't have Masengo starting every single week. Like, just logically, you wouldn't get rid of Sander Berge and then just throw this young kid in that's played under 21s football in, would you? But, we'll probably bring somebody else in. We've talked about replacements, up front and wingers going and all this stuff. You're going to have to replace them. But for me, like I say, we're in a fantastic position, really. Like, we're going down with a lot more quality. And you've just mentioned the defence there, and I've just given you another 3 or 4 names that you'd completely forgotten
about. That's what I mean. And one person that I have forgotten about, and everyone's commenting on it, is that Sharande Sambo from PSV, who's already come in. And there's some people saying, like Tricky, saying, I can't see him dropping into the Championship. As far as I'm aware, mate, it's already signed, sealed, delivered. He's already signed the thing. He can't turn around now and be like, yeah, I'm not coming. He'll surely be breach of contract. I mean, I'm just going off reports that I saw out there about 3-4 months ago. Where did the report come from? I'm currently now on Sports Mall. I appreciate that isn't the best that isn't the best. What's the word? But it came from a decent journalist, and then Sportsmore picked it up.
Fabrizio,
it was Fabrizio. It was Fabrizio. Yeah, and then company sort of like, so he's coming, lads. He's ours. So he's another one that we forgot about. So we are in a good position. I agree.
I don't believe it until he's in the shirt. Like somebody at some point told me that Miroslav Orsic was in the door, sat on Alan Pace's settee, talking where he's going to play that season, and he ended up having a big U-turn, didn't he? So I don't believe anything until it's happened. But we're in for a big summer.
Who signed from? We're at Grzyski. Like, we'd signed him, hadn't we? Like,
he was
offer and everything, and then
I think we're
in the shirt.
With Grzyski, I know what you mean. Stuff can happen, and I appreciate that's why you brought that point up. Excuse me. Is with Grzyski, it turned out he had like 150 grand worth of gambling debt or something, and like the mafia were after him or something, so they just cancelled it. But midfield, obviously, we just mentioned the defence for next year. Andrew, I'll come to you on this one. Midfield for next year. This is how. I mean, you've already said you feel like Zaroury and Benson will probably move on. Don't necessarily disagree with that. It obviously depends on what they want to do because they are still contracted to the club. If I remember rightly, both of them signed quite big deals with the club as well. So hopefully, if they are sold on, we can get some money. I am under no illusion. I just cannot see us keeping Sander. Sander will have good clubs coming in for him. I think even clubs knocking on the door of Europe or even playing in Europe, like your Brightons, your West Hams, your Newcastles, that sort of vibe. I think he could go somewhere like that for depth. So I think he leaves. So that leaves a midfield of Cullen, potentially Masengo. But as Sam said, I agree. I won't have him playing every single game. I mean, company is more than us, so he might be ready for that. Then you've got Zaroury. Then you've got Benson, depending on what they want to do. Corley Orshaw as well. Corley Orshaw can still be here. It depends on what his agent wants and what his agent wants to do with him. But I would be surprised, not overly surprised, because of his injury. I'd be surprised if somebody took a punt on him because I think he might end up costing a bit of a fee. So we'll see with that one. But then there's going to be a gap where Sander is. I think Cullen 100% plays in that DM role as he did last year and will be one of the best players of the Championship for it. Then you've got Masengo as well in the middle, and then a gap where we need to sign somebody else. And then like I said, your Zarouris and your Bensons who could leave, so we could end up bringing someone else in. I agree. I don't think Twine will be here next year. I think he'll end up being sold. I'm not sure though. And then Corley Orshaw. Is that midfield a decent midfield, or would you like to see some new players come in?
I want to see this Enoch Agayi, or whatever his name is, who's meant to be this brilliant winger. I'd like to see him get a chance and see what he's all about. Obviously, if that means dropping Corley Orshaw or Odebert, if Odebert goes, then that's his position filled. But we've got Bastian. I know he's not a world beater, but he did the job for us last year. He did all right when he were playing.
I've got nothing against Bastian, excuse me, but I think I'd rather keep Twine. I've kind of forgot to mention Brownhill as well. People are saying in the chat, I would be surprised if Brownhill's here next year. I know people will say we've just signed it, triggered the extension. It's just to get money for him, like Sam says. I will be genuinely surprised if I see Josh Brownhill in a Burnley shirt next season. Honestly, or at least when the window's shut. I think we've done that to get money for him, and that's why I've not put Brownhill in this. But obviously, I'd take Brownhill next year in the Championship. Of course I would, but I don't think he's going to be here personally.
Yeah, I do think we need a few new midfielders. I'd like to see at least another couple of centre halves. Centre mid, sorry, not centre halves. Fucking hell, I've got enough.
Sui says, O'Hare on a free makes me hard. I like that one. Wouldn't normally put smut like that on screen, Sui, but that I do like a play on words like that. It's not a great play on words, mate, so do better. But
you brought it up. I just brought up and rinsed him.
It made me laugh a little bit. But could we be going for players like that, or do you think O'Hare will be demanding a Prem club?
I don't think he's got. In my opinion, I don't think he's got the credibility for it. Really, he was injured half of the season, came back for an FA Cup semi-final.
I forgot about Ramsey.
Yeah, but fair enough, he played all right. But he's is that enough to warrant a Premier League move? Playing 10 games in a season, like I think he needs a full season under his belt in the Championship. And I again, we said we're not gonna start anything with Coventry fans, but I'd take him. Like, take him.
So we'll have O'Hare, we'll have the manager. Who else have they got?
Hadji Wright, Alex Sims.
There you go. We'll have them all. We'll have them all.
You
have the greats. Yeah.
They've got a good left back. Is it Bidwell?
No idea.
We'll have their left back. Take that.
I'd definitely take O'Hare. I think up front is the bit. And Johan, this is a bit where I bring your comment in. And I'm sick of it, mate. Every week somebody asks me about Vegos. We're not going through it again. We're not doing it, mate. I'm sorry. So we are going to talk about strikers and up front. And I guess you could include the likes of Zarori, Koleosho, Benson in this debate as well, like I have just done with the midfield, depending on the style and the midfield that you want. Nathan Redmond as well. He's another one as well. He could potentially be here next season. I'm not sure. Sam, you're shaking your head, but I think he might be okay in the Championship as a bit part player, but I honestly don't see the point in debating it, because I don't think he's going to be here next year. Ramsey. From what I've been told, Ramsey will start the season injured and will still be injured towards Christmas. So it's a bit of a shame. But hopefully we see Ramsey at some point next year, and I think he will do well. Ginger Valley, yeah, you just asked. I'm not sure he's going to play much next year because of the injury. From what I've been told, we're looking more towards Christmas. But Sam, I'll come to you. And the reason why I come to you first is because obviously when Foster was in the Championship, and obviously you were doing the shows with me back then, there was quite a lot of criticism from pretty much everyone on the pod, really. We were all saying, maybe he's taking a while to settle in, but he's taking too long to settle in. Maybe he's not good enough. Would you be happy with Foster in the Championship next season, or would you want to try and get somebody else?
I'd be happy to start with him, but I'd absolutely be bringing somebody else in just in case. Like we've said, without sounding horrible, like I'm not banking on him being available all the time. I'm not banking on him being consistent all the time. He's been inconsistent this season. There was barely any consistency in the Championship to begin with. Like I say, it's not. You feel like you need to do a disclaimer for it. It's not.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Yeah.
It's not him as a person or him as a character. It's him as a player, and we rinse everybody else all the time about how they play. I don't think he's been brilliant since the beginning of the season. He scored some goals, and I really thought, do you know
I don't think, he's not been brilliant since his mental health.
I thought this is it. This is the guy now who is going to absolutely tear it apart. We're going to score goals. He's going to be the guy who's going to get us the 10, 15 goals we need to stay in the Premier League. He's going to help us scrap out the 1-0 wins, and everybody else is going to be buzzing in and around him, and he's going to finish off the chances. I do think part of it is the fact that when we got Fofana, we tried for so long, because Fofana played so well when Foster wasn't in, that we really tried to force them both into the team, meaning Foster ended up on the wing, and I don't think that worked. So I don't think that all of it is down to him, and I would like to see what it's like without Fofana there now, and him being the out-and-out number 9, which I will back 100% from the start of the season. He is my number 9 for next season, but we need somebody else. There's no Jay now. There's Obafemi coming back, who we will get rid of. We need somebody else for the unfortunate situation. If he doesn't feel like he can continue playing again, then we've got somebody there. If he's out of form and he's not playing brilliant, we've got somebody else there as well. The winger situation, it's a different story. I think that's the hardest situation to call. I actually think that's the hardest situation to call in world football right now. Who are Burnley's wingers going to be next season? You've got 2 wingers that didn't play all this season, who tore the Championship apart. Do you try them again? Yeah. You've got 2 players that arguably, I don't like to say tearing apart in the Premier League, considering the position that we're in, but Wilson Odobert was fantastic, and Koleosho was skinning defenders left, right and centre. If you put them in the Championship, like, that could be incredible. Like,
if we have Koleosho and Odobert on the wings in the Championship, mate, 100%, we will rip it up. Yeah. I think one of them leaves, and I think it's probably Odobert.
I think he's got the most credibility because of this season. I think he's played the most, he's scored the most goals, he's been the most impactful player that we've got. If you look at Burnley, people don't on the surface say Sander Berge is your best player. People will say Odobert because he does all the flashy stuff, the turns in midfield, the goals from outside the box. Like 100%, there's a shout there as well for Michael Mellon.
Yeah,
100%. He's involved in this team. He's that third striker, like
100%. Yeah, I
Like,
think next season's his potential breakthrough season is going to be probably a bit part player. Like you summed it up brilliantly there. Probably the third striker. We'll probably have a main striker, might be Foster, then somebody else underneath him, then your Mellon playing in the cups and stuff, coming on with 15 minutes left, hopefully getting a few goals here and there. If he gets 5 goals, he's got to take that in the Championship next season. But yeah, Obafemi. Anybody want Obafemi back?
I just think there's too much there with him, isn't there? Really, like there's too much. Like there's all the shouts for him being a pain to work with, not a good trainer. He went to Millwall in the nicest possible way. He hasn't said it a lie. I genuinely came in with high hopes for Obafemi. I don't think he got a fair whack with us. I also think he has ended up having a fair whack with Millwall and not really performing. So I can see us moving him on. There's really no need. We bought him for a cut price. It's not like we're going to lose sleep over losing $1 mil, $2 mil on him. Just get him gone. We just need to figure out where the holes are, and they'll be identifying this already, but where the gaps are, who do we need to fill, who are we going to fill it with, can we get the right quality? Don't have another transfer window of 10 players. Buy 3, 4, 5 very good players for that league that will fit in positions that we absolutely are crying out for. Left back, centre mid, striker, backup goalkeeper, and just a couple of, we've still got players like Cherlinov, Bastian, Twine, McNally, Zereri. There's so many.
Egan Raleigh.
Do you know what I mean? And the whole shout with Vegas, like, he will go.
Stop it.
Right? Vegas will go. The time to have brought Vegas back was at the start of this season when people should have realised that, okay, yeah, fair enough, he didn't deal with things correct and all that type of stuff. He was third best Bundesliga striker behind Robert Lewandowski for 2, 3, 4 seasons. Like, he's not an awful footballer. He was in a pretty poor Burnley team that couldn't create chances. You never know what would have happened in the Premier League. It's an if but and a maybe, but absolutely not. He's not going to play in the Championship, is he? So that for me is a ship him off, see you later. But the argument for Vegas was in the summer that we've just had, not now.
Yeah. So many players that we've still not mentioned, Andrew. Trezor.
Gone.
I've not even mentioned JBL. Like, there's just so. What do we do with all these players?
I'd like us to keep JBL. Like, I'd love us to keep him because I think he does offer something a bit more. And Trezor, I've never been convinced with him. Like, this season, I've not been convinced with him. He's one of them that he looked good on YouTube, but he's not really done anything for us. But obviously, he's very highly rated in Belgium. He is, we obviously signed him for a reason, and we've got him permanent now. So I'd like to see him, give him a chance next year in Championship, because
I'd love to see him in the Championship. I'd love to see him get a run of games, even in the Prem, because he never really got a run of games in the Prem. I'd love to see him get a run of games. No. Do I think he stays for the Championship? No chance. No chance. There's more chance of Egos coming back.
It'd be, do you know what? No. You are right, though. It would be brilliant to see Trezor in the Championship, but he just strikes me as a toys are out of the pram, the second he signed for us anyway. And that's no criticism to him, to be fair. He has also not had a fair whack in this team. So when people have talked about the whole Benson situation and stuff like that, when we say, our marquee signing was Mike Trezor, and, we spent 18 million quid on him, the bloke was getting 7 minutes at the end of a game. Who do you know from recent memory who everybody wanted to see but got 10 minutes? Mate Vidra. When he finally came into the team, he looked really good. He didn't have the backing of the manager. He was everybody's scapegoat when it wasn't going well. We'd say, put Vidra in. It's the same with players like Benson and Trezor. We're doing the same stuff. They're just getting the same treatment. No player in the history of football has ever got 10 minutes at the end of a game consistently and everybody go, he's a fantastic footballer. You just don't see it. Nobody is a bench player and comes on for 10 minutes at the end of a game and absolutely sets the world alight. You spent £18 million on a player from Belgium who got 24 assists the season before. Regardless of whether you've watched him on YouTube or regardless whether you sit and watch Belgian football, the bloke has something about him. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent 18 million quid on him and he wouldn't have got the statistics and he wouldn't have been so highly rated last season from Europe. We dropped the ball in that situation for me. But there's a lot of different situations that could have gone on. You know, he might not have wanted to be there because he wanted to go to Brentford at the start of the window, didn't he? And he didn't get his move. He ended up settling for Burnley. I feel like that's not on record, but I feel like he settled for Burnley. I think the whole thing where it was a transfer saga with him, again, another one that we ended up going through. But I think that just came down to we didn't want to sign anybody with a relegation release clause. We didn't want to lose £10 million on a player and say, you know, and then I believe eventually he agreed to not take one. That's why it ended up being like last minute. For me, regardless, he's the only one I really genuinely think will kick up a fuss and be like, I shouldn't be in the Championship. Like,
yeah,
and fair play to him. Like, off of merit from your season before, he shouldn't. And you didn't really get a fair whack in this division and in this season to even really warrant, you know, not getting a move. So
I think the Trezor situation will end up being similar to Weghorst, where nobody's coming in and giving us the money that we want, so we'll just loan him out for the next few years, and he'll have flashes of coming back for pre-season. Maybe if we go up again, and they might even play for us. But I just end up thinking we'll just keep loaning him out. Can't get rid of him. Contracts will wind down.
Personally. Yeah, I agree. I can see that happening. The only other player to talk about is Ron Larson, isn't it? Like, for me, he's the one
I would have him.
Absolutely should come back.
Yeah,
he should absolutely have him. Come back. He's so versatile. So versatile as a player. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play through the centre, he can play up front. Like he's got such technical ability about him. I just think people forget he's so young as well. He's quite raw. Like he's not fine-tuned as a footballer. Like we have absolutely no idea what he could be like in the Championship. We've seen flashes of it in the Premier League. And for me, if a player can show you something in the Premier League, if they drop down a division with lesser competition in the nicest possible way, you know, and more games to show it off in, like, I mean, the kid could also be fantastic for us. He could be the backup number 9. You know, he could find out that he's a better player on, you know, straight through the middle. He could be Koleosho's backup. You know, we could be getting rid of Benson and Zaruri, and he could be sitting behind, you know, Koleosho. You don't know how these things are going to unravel. This team, I think, for me, is the hardest one of all the relegated teams to decide who's the starting 11 is going to be. Because we've got Premier League quality players, I think, some of them, but not a lot of suitors for them. So if there's not a lot of suitors, we end up getting some pretty decent players. Like, and our team could look class, or could be blown up and they could all be gone. Like, you genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It could go either way. Andrew, your thoughts on JBL? You want to keep him? Flyover Fred does say he thinks he's done enough to alert other clubs, but there's no chance we keep him. No chance is a bit much. I think if we had an option, it's just an option, isn't it? It's not like mandatory or anything like that. So obviously we'd have sorted it by now. But Everton are interested. I don't know if that was decent. That was a good source. I'm not sure. I saw it on Twitter a couple of days ago. But I think he would be fantastic. He's our leading goal scorer this year, by the way. I was just going to say maybe not actually, because we scored today, but it was Cullen, so he's not going to be anywhere near. So JBL was our leading goal scorer this year. He's not a out and out striker. So that, I mean, I think to me that says more about the rest of the squad than it does about JBL personally. But it just shows how well he's done at the same time, doesn't it? And if he could do that in the Prem, in a new team, now he's settled in that team. All right, it'll probably be a bit of a new team, so that's a moot point really. But next year, I think he'll do very well at that level.
Yeah, he almost reminds. I know it's like a bit silly saying he almost reminds me of Goodmanson with the, you know, same initials, but he does like. I know he don't cut in on his left foot and curl it into the top corner and, you know, any of that, but like he does seem like that sort of player, and like you say, he's had flashes of brilliance in the Premier League. So for him to take the step down, if he was to sign, like for him to take the step down into the Championship, I think he'd be a brilliant player for us. And he could end up, like, if we played him through the centre, he could end up being our main number 9. Like, he could end up being our main striker. Like, I think he's brilliant. I think he has to be, out of the loans that we had left, like, he has
This
to be.
season, yeah. I think it's a good point there from Chris. Could JBL play the teller role in the Championship? It's probably not quick enough to do that role, but I think he can definitely have an impact next year in the Championship.
I just think it's good to mould a squad of different players, like, and especially from the winger position. Like, we had it when we had Johan. He could drop into the 10 as a technical footballer. We saw it at QPR. He can score a free kick. He can get it. He can score from outside the box. You know, obviously he's going now. And then you've obviously got, you know, Koleosho, just bursts of pace. I still think if we were to keep Odobert, he should play the 10 role, which frees up us being able to sell Brownhill, which means, you know, you've got another slot for a winger. Is Zaruri that guy? For me, hopefully. Is Benson that guy? Again, for me, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope them two come back and want to be here because they were so good last year.
We had a quad of wingers in Jakob Brun-Larsen, Anas Zaruri, Wilson Odobert. Sorry, not Odobert.
Koleosho.
Now, you know what I mean? There's so many of them.
We've been on too long, I think.
Zaruri, Jakob Brun-Larsen, and Koleosho. That 4 is unbelievable. Like, that 4.
That's a decent 4 in the Prem.
And
it'd be class in the Championship.
That's what I mean. And you don't even have to buy anybody. That's my thing. Like, if you can get them on side and keep the players you've got, you don't have to buy anyone. So then you can throw loads of money at a quality number 9 to back up Foster, or for Foster to be a backup to them. You can bring in this lad from PSV. Okay, he's a young kid. You can bring in a fantastic, brilliant, unbelievable left back, please. And then you've got all these loans that you can do. You can get players like, Oscar Bob. Like, he might be available on loan. Bring him in next season. Look at all these young players from the top teams. Bring them in next season to play these types of roles. And we have a great chance, a better opportunity, in my opinion. This is the only difference with this season in comparison to the last time in the Championship. Last season in the Championship, we were rebuilding everything, so you didn't really know how it was going to go. This season, I almost feel like there's no margin for error. This team is capable of going back up. Adding to that, with the manager who already has the credibility, already has the CV to get us out of the division, this is the season where there's no margin for error now. If you're 4th or 5th after 10, 15 games and you've dropped points to teams that you shouldn't have done, that's where you're in, that is where you are in real trouble as a manager. Yeah. And I think that margin for error, again, will come from fans' expectations being higher, will come from the board's expectations being higher. Everybody's got us as, when we went down, I can't remember. I don't think we were odds-on favourite to win the title. This season, we're like 8-1. The one behind us is like 12, 13-1. We are odds-on favourite of the media, everybody to go straight back up as champions. So, like I say, margin for error is that now. And if anything goes wrong, it's manager gone, and it's start again, really. But that's the thing that worries me. Because of the margin for error, there is a possibility that company goes, and we are starting again, and that has been proven with so many teams in the past that it can work, but it also can go the complete other way. You could end up like a West Brom, managerless, lose 4 more games on the bounce, lose that big main bulk of your team, keep regressing season upon season, get stuck in the Championship for 3, 4, 5 years. Like, it really is the hardest season to call, I think, for us in a long time.
Yeah, but like you said earlier, and I do agree with it, we're in a better position coming down this season than we were the season a couple of years ago. And because of that alone, I do think we'll be okay next year. Obviously, you can't really gauge where we're going to be because we don't know what the squad is. However, we'll have them debates in August. Hopefully, live from Germany. Hopefully we're going out there for a pre-season TurfCast tour. But I will start to look to wrap it up because I saw a comment earlier from Raj that says, "Can't believe the stream is still going. I've even left the pub now and Sam's here." So that's how long we've been going. He's been in the pub, left the pub, gone on the stream, seen that Sam's here, then goes on to say, "Sam, you are a legend." Yeah, we all love Sam. So yeah, it's been a good chat. I'm not going to wrap it up just yet, though, lads. Obviously, the season came to a conclusion today. Man City won their 4th title in a row. Does anybody care?
Yeah, I wanted Arsenal to win it because I'm just
I
sick of
didn't really give a
winning it.
shit, to be honest.
I think everybody wanted that. Yeah, fair play to City. They are the best team in world football, whether or not you agree with it or not from how they've done it. But fair play to him. He's a fantastic manager. First manager in Premier League history to win 4 on the bounce. Great team. Just a bit boring now, innit, lads? Give it to somebody else. Let other people eat, please.
Yeah. Chelsea got the last European spot. No one would have guessed that. No one would have guessed that in November. They're 6th.
Why Pochettino's manager at season for me? After the start they had.
Surely Emery's manager at season.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably Unai Emery. I think that's probably more of an achievement. But when you if you think about it across the season, Chelsea were out of it 11, 13, and now they're in a European spot. These last kind of 15 games,
it's insane, sensational. They've been so
unbelievable.
Good.
Cole Palmer, he's for me, he's number 10 at the Euros. Get Cole Palmer in, Foden on the left, Saka on the right, Kane up top, Rice and Bellingham behind. We won't talk about the defence. We won't talk about that. But we've really got a chance of that. So yeah, I think it's such a happy conversation. We've stopped talking about Burnley. I'm really giddy about football again. It's really weird, but
which is a good sign for the summer because we could do some Euros content, but also we'll probably have to do a season review at some point, lads. So the tone will probably go back down. But then when we're doing keep, loan, sell, that sort of stuff, then fingers crossed we are in a happy mood. But I'll look to wrap it up unless there's anything that you guys want to add before we do.
Nice.
Take that as a no. But yeah, before I do want to wrap it up, I just want to remind everybody that today's edition of TurfCast has been supported by Uphold, Burnley sleeve sponsor for the 23-24 season, who have unveiled something very special this year, the limited edition Burnley FC Uphold card. You can easily add funds to the card and unlock its perks, whether you're spending at home or away. The card lets you spend in any currency anywhere globally and is accepted everywhere MasterCard is accepted everywhere MasterCard is without foreign transactions. There's no way these guys are renewing for next year, are they? And offers a competitive exchange rate for added security. You can pay with Apple and Google Play. So that'll be the last time you probably hear that one. But also, I just want to point everyone's attention to the bottom of the screen as well. There, all the YouTube channel members, you can become a YouTube channel member. YouTube channel members get perks such as early release of shows. Obviously, that's the pre-game show. The stuff we do live can't be released early, but it'll be doing the same for the summer as well. And I have finally decided to do some TurfCast merch. So we will be doing some TurfCast merch over the summer. The lads on the show, we'll get some stuff for free, obviously, so they can wear it on stream or out and about. So members will be getting that discount at the shop. So, if you want to become a member, you can. And hopefully we'll be doing some stuff during the summer as well. I'm hoping to do more like Andy Cook style interviews. I know I say that every week. So those who watch regularly will know. Ginger Ellis says, thanks for all the hard work, guys. He also does say looking for the Burnley retain list. But yeah, I will look to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. It's been a shit season, but hopefully you've enjoyed the content. It's been a bit of a slog, hasn't it, lads, doing the content sometimes. It's not been easy to come home and then get on the fucking podcast and then carry on and chat about it. Have a good evening, lads, says Burnley season. Tell Neil I love him, says Sui. Top stuff. Hold on, wait. You're all commenting too fast. Top stuff, lads. Fantastic content all season. Thank you, mate. EIEIO at the Football League we go, he says. But yeah, I'll be honest with you all. It has been a bit of a slog, and it's coming on every single week trying to chat about such a dreadful season. But it was so good doing it last year. Fingers crossed we can do that again next year.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Like, you know, it's been a torrid season this year, hasn't it? But I suppose, like you said, like we watched it last season, it was so good. So now you've seen the best of both worlds. Like you've seen what we're like doing it when we're good. You've seen what it's like when we're not so good. So it is what it is. Thank you to everybody that's watched us all season. We all massively appreciate it. And you know, we go again next season. We'll do the same for you again. So
Yeah,
it is.
definitely.
Last thing for me though, Leeds or Southampton.
Oh, I would rather Southampton go up, so I don't have to go to Southampton next year because it's a trek. And I am, and you'll know more than this, obviously, than me living in Leeds, Sam.
Mhm.
But I am aware that if Leeds don't go up, they have to have an absolute fire sale and will be dog shit next year.
They'll need to, mate, because I mean, look at some of the contracts that they've got. Like they banked on being like straight back up.
Yeah.
Because the thing is as well, like you would have thought Leicester, Leeds, if it wasn't for a fairy tale season from Ipswich, it would have happened already. Southampton obviously got obliterated last season, lost all the key players, had to restart similar to what we did. They ended up being all right, trailed off towards the end, and to be fair, though, Southampton done the double over Leeds. Like I really can't see Leeds winning at Wembley. I think they're a good side, and I think that second game against Norwich, wow, absolutely out of the park. But I actually think that said more about Norwich than it did Leeds. I thought Norwich was awful, but I really do think Southampton have. I think Southampton will have the number personally, but that's horrible for me because I really cannot be bothered with it next year. Like it's just another thing to worry about. Like I've got to worry about 2 games against Blackburn. We've got Bolton coming up. Don't want them to win. Oh, no, they're not coming up. They lost. Brilliant. I'm fine now. You know, we've got Preston as well. Like you don't know as much as we don't like actually like really dislike. I do, but I don't. Like I don't care really. Like when we play Preston, it's like I want to beat you, but like if we lose, it's like it is what it is. It's just another game to worry about in it. So I can't be doing with 6 derbies next season. Oh God, can you imagine it? It's just not even worth it because Leeds are our bogey team. We lose constantly. We constantly. It's just rubbish. So I can't be bothered. But yeah. That's probably one of my mates as well.
It probably is. Although, to be fair, there's been 2 people spamming the chat today, and I've had to put them both in timeout. Now, I tried to put them both in timeout, but for some reason, StreamYard banned them both. I didn't mean to do that, so I have to go on and unban them. But then this name popped up as soon as I'd accidentally banned these 2 people, so that could just be that guy on a new one. Andrew, Leeds or Southampton, who do you want to go up?
I mean, Southampton will probably be a rival for us next year if they don't go up. Leeds, like you said, they have to have a fire sale. But not likely. I can't want Leeds to do well. Like it's ingrained into me to hate them, so I can't want them to do. But yeah, so it's going to have to be Southampton. But I think it'll be a bit of a closer, cagey game.
I agree. We will end it there then, lads. We will do some stuff. We're going to do a season review show where I get, hopefully, all the lads on. Like, I'm not sure if Vizzy will be available, actually, because he's got some big stuff coming up. Hopefully, Neil is available. And we'll get your Andrews on, your Sams, maybe even Chris. I do want to do some stuff as well where I get the lads who have been doing the fan reactions to send in their thoughts on relegation and all, you know, and vibes the next season, that sort of thing. So we will have content coming up. But lads, Sam, thank you for coming on for the majority of this season. It's been a pleasure. Andrew, thank you for coming on towards the end of the season. We'll definitely look to get you on more next year, whether it's fan reactions or live streams, depending on when we do them. But fingers crossed we're able to do more shows as well next year. If you've joined the stream late, like I think Andrew Evans is, because he's just commented, Ginger Alley says, get me on. You can get me on. You can get me on, mate. Get you on. Because just send us a message, mate, on Twitter. Just send me a message on Twitter and say, I'm Ginger Alley. And we'll sort something out next year and get you on for next year, whether it's fan reactions or live streams, because we are looking for more people. Someone came up to me today in the Park View and said, can I come on and help you out with some stuff, because I'm a uni student and I want to get more experience. Says, yes, mate, just message me. Like, we're looking for more people. So fingers crossed for that. So if you do want to come on, get me on. But this is the bit where I start mumbling and don't wrap up. So I'm just not going to look at any more comments. And just say, if you've joined the stream late and you want to watch it full, you can watch it in full as soon as I end the stream. It starts again as a video standalone. You can watch it in demand. And if you want to listen to it driving to work tomorrow or school or college, whatever you're doing, then I will be putting the podcast up pretty much straight away now. But thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next time. The full-time show obviously won't be available till next season, but we will have content during the summer.
Goodbye.